call this meeting to order. It is 6:33 on September the 15th, 2022. And I'll call roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Bill
Here.
Lobos. Councilmember Bunker.
Here.
Councilmember Steiler.
Here.
Councilmember McLeod.
Here.
Councilmember Clinton.
Here.
And I am Mayor Blaze. If you could please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I got it.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then to the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And please remain standing for the invocation. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, Lord God, we are very grateful to be in Martindale, Texas. And we just praise you, Heavenly Father, for the city that we have, the river, the natural resources. And Lord God, we do pray for more rain. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the gift of salvation. And we do ask that you give us discernment and wisdom in dealing with these city affairs. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we'll start off with public comments. Joy Youngers was not able to be here tonight, so she attached her public comments. And she says, we have all seen the extreme clearing at 601 Northwest River Road. 95% of all ground cover and trees have been removed. Then the natural bank soil was laid into low areas. Now hundreds of yards of fill dirt have been brought into the floodway. The property owner is doing everything our flood damage prevention ordinance seeks to prevent. And then she states 15304, methods of reducing flood losses. C, control the alteration of natural floodplains, stream channels, and natural protective barriers, which are involved in the accommodation of floodwaters. D, control filling, grading, dredging, and other development which may increase flood damage. And E, prevent or regulate the construction of flood barriers which will unnaturally divert floodwaters or which may increase flood hazards to other lands. And then 153.27 spells out our floodplain development permit application procedure, which ensures developers do not increase the danger to life and property due to flooding or erosion damage. Our ordinance recognizes the extreme hazardous nature of the regulatory floodway due to the velocity of floodwaters which carry debris, potential projectiles, and erosion potential, as well as its importance in absorbing and containing excess water in times of flooding. And then 153.44 reads, encroachments are prohibited, including fill, new construction, substantial improvements, and other development within the adopted regulatory floodway unless it has been demonstrated through hydrologic and hydraulic analysis performed in accordance with standard engineering practice that the proposed encroachment would not result in any increase in flood levels within the community during the occurrence of the base flood discharge. Martindale has the most current FEMA maps in hand, and we have a city council, a mayor, and an acting floodplain administrator. We now have a code enforcer. We seem to have all the pieces in place. We just need to set the cogs into motion before it is too late. And that's for Joy Youngers. The next speaker is Mary Beth Harper about library information.
Okay, first thing is not really a library issue. Anyway, next Tuesday is voter registration day. It's a big national thing going on, not just in Texas. And there will be a table booth or something set up at one of these places on Tuesday. If you're not registered to vote, if you need to change your address, you already have voter registration card. If you need to change your address, any kind of updates, that can be done at that. And also, I found this right here. It's got dates to register, if you want a mail-in ballot, and when early voting, actual election day. These are all the different offices, not only national, state, Caldwell County. Is that also when y'all are voting on that 1/4%?
Yes.
Okay, I did. We'll check on that. Anyway, this is English and Spanish. I got that. And it doesn't have the names of any of the candidates on here, but I'll leave this up here. And Adrian, can you put that in there for patrons? People walking in, can they pick this up?
Yeah, you just drop it off.
Thank you. Okay, that's just general information. Okay, especially if y'all want people to vote on your road bond, you might want to encourage people to register. Okay, the actual library information, on Saturday, October 1st, there is a big fundraiser down the street right here, about 2 buildings down. It's called Granny's Attic Treasures and More. And it's the first fundraiser the Friends of the Library is able to have since before COVID. So should be a really nice thing. It's a silent auction. And again, most of the ladies that work in the library as volunteers were grannies, were old ladies. And we got crap that we got when we got married back in the 1970s. Silver, china, you know, valuable stuff. And we want to get rid of it. So anyway, that's what a lot of that stuff is. It's nice stuff. It's not junk. But anyway, good stuff. Anyway, so that's on Saturday, October 1st from 10 to 1. So come in and put in your silent auction and we'll be able to unload some. Anyway, you still get to purchase some stuff. Okay, also now the library is going to start its fall movie series. It's on Thursday evenings when it gets dark, and this starts on October the 6th. The first movie is E.T., then we have Gremlins, then we have Beetlejuice, and then on October 27th for Halloween is Hocus Pocus. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Sam Clanton.
Sam. Yes.
Hello, fellow council members and mayor. I'm giving you a sort of a fiscal year end update on the parks. As we all know, the parks were very busy this year due to the extreme weather, heat, and the parks were visited by thousands and thousands of people. I did a survey, and a lot of them are from other parts of Caldwell County. Some even drive as far as Houston. We now know that we have $25,000 in the budget for the next fiscal year. Half of that generally is being used for maintenance. We need to come up with a consensus of how are we going to make money off these parks coming into the next year. The Parks Advisory Committee has come up with some programming ideas to lease out a park on a partial day basis to weddings, bouncy kids' birthday parties. But even in our ordinance, there's not a specific monetary amount that the city is charging for these types of events. In the ordinance, it says if you use the area between the parking lot and the playground and you use the electricity, the amount to be paid is to be determined by the city council. We need to determine these amounts. We also need to determine into the future and get a consensus and ideas from all of you. Are we going to start to charge per car, perhaps, per person? How are we going to generate more money to improve the infrastructure of our parks? We've had many requests to expand the parking lot, to install a ramp for the wheelchair accessibility to the swings and the playground structures. also to have a water fountain. All of these things take money. We can also work with the Parks Advisory Committee to come up with grants to do some of these things. But in the next month, I would like to have a meeting formed between us, an agenda item. How are we going to make these parks work for us so we're not caught with huge amounts of garbage? Fortunately, with the amount of money we have left in the fiscal year, we managed to get some mowing done, and that's good. I went to the New Braunfels Landscape Supply and I looked at their EMF certified playground fiber. I would like to buy several yards of this by the end of September and install this in the playground structures. We can have it delivered here and then volunteers can spread this mulch out. It is needed in our playground structures. There's a distance this deep from the base of the slide to where the mulch currently is. So also I have bought some, or the city has bought some split rails and some posts to fix the fence at Guardiola Park. I would like to take advantage of the recent resolution we had with the fraternity or organization out of San Marcos and get that fixed. So yes, let's all come up, have some meeting, let's talk about our parks and have a good time in the parks. And I want to thank Sonia for being on the panel of the River Guardianship Symposium that Mike, the mayor, and myself attended. Sonia proved to us and the city to be a very eloquent speaker and spoke her mind, but was very informative. And so I applaud her for her speaking. Thank you.
She made us look.
Okay.
She blushed.
Our next speaker is Matthew McGovern.
Thank you. Just give an update on the River Advisory Committee. We had a meeting at 1, and thank you for putting up with us today. We were a little brutal with area, but we had some concerns. Number one is the actual approval of the pervious cover and getting it approved by the attorney and getting it on the books. So we did handle a lot of conversation. Thank you for your patience with us on that. But the other thing we're concerned about, obviously, is what's going on, and that there is a meeting coming at the end of the month, which was news to me. And our concern from the committee was that we need to let the whole community know that that meeting is going on and not wait 3 days before it happens. Okay, so that was a very hot topic. Unfortunately, we were told repeatedly that we're not on topic. Adrian started to run the meeting because we were going off for long periods of time on it, but you guys know about it. I found out about it by accident. And I go to every meeting. I missed the last meeting. I was medically not able to come. But, you know, everyone needs to know. That's the biggest development that's going to hit this town ever in the history of the town. And no one knows about it but the people sitting in this room or online. And that's, to be quite honest with you, not fair. So I'm going to be, I'm spreading the word from my end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have met all the requirements for that. I'll just make a little comment. It's been in the newspaper and the neighbors within 200 feet have been notified. Okay. Pardon me? No, it's been about a month ago. Okay, so we have the code enforcement report from, we've got that listed under the city administrator, but it's actually in your packets, and it's from the code enforcement and the building administrator. He's done a very nice report for us. And
Yeah, we're ready to answer any questions if there are any by council.
And that meeting is listed on here also.
One quick point, that plan zoning quick update, it says future scheduled P and Z public hearing, it should be the 26th,
Yeah,
not the 19th.
the 19th.
26th.
I had a question about the dilapidated structures. I see now that there's 9 that are on this list. I noticed one structure on Fannin across from the park had been starting to get torn down. I think there is a 6-month time period in order to get these structures torn down. Are there any updates on the dilapidated structure?
On that particular structure, I believe that's the private property owner making those changes. On the others that we're working on, it may have been cited also. I'll let Lee weigh in if it matters, but the other substandard structures that the next step on that is pending attorney action. And we intend to
Are you-
to
can
proceed
you hear me?
within municipal court.
Can y'all
or
hear me?
district court.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so the next step is going to be, we received a preliminary report from from the firm that helped us with the prior matter there on Main Street, but they were only able to secure visual inspections from the road, and the inspections that we secured were not as thorough and detailed as the prior. And I've also got some concerns about proceeding in the same manner that we did with the prior suit for that property, or for the property across the street, because it would not be necessarily a good look to file 9 lawsuits at the same time to have these different properties addressed. So what I'm thinking about doing is having these addressed through the municipal court system so that we can get a better look into an understanding of what's happening with these properties. And then if there are additional issues that need to be raised or addressed, or there's problems, those could always be addressed through the district court. But I figured that, considering these aren't as extreme in nature as the property at 416 Main, handling it through the municipal court system would be better.
Thank you.
You bet.
I had one other question. On the property adjacent to the Skull Bridge, there is a sign there that says zoning change coming up, City of Martindale. And so I was asked about that sign, unless this is more of a P&Z thing, but it is a Lee thing, a Lee Rust question, I guess. Did the city put that sign out there that there's going to be a possible zoning change on that riverbank, or did the developer put that sign up there?
It is a good question, Sam. Hi, guys. It's Lee Russ. That is a good question. It is up to the city to post those signs on the properties so many days before the hearing. So that was done by the city.
So currently that land is zoned R1, is that right?
Which track are you?
The river track on Northwest Road, between Northwest Road and the river where I saw the sign.
On Skull Road.
It's on Northwest.
Oh,
It's on Northwest Road.
On the river. You will find, being that they're, and not to get too much into P&Z action on this, but you will find that being the development agreement is provided as a whole, or a master plan, or a use plan, the signs have to encompass all the properties that the developer owns.
So
Okay.
it's not typically the parcel.
I mean, I just want to say that I think because it's posted there, like, citizens aren't aware that what exactly it all envelops and how much it is. So it makes it seem like the signs are indicative that the zoning change would be for that area precisely. Is where I think there may be some confusion.
Because I haven't seen any signs anywhere else.
On Highway
8? There's none on 80, there's none in the fields, there's none next to the buildings, the remaining barn structures, so that's why I was confused. Also, I want to ask about, I've seen around town some weeds around in churches and buildings and all that, where the weeds are like 3 feet high. I think we need to start to enforce some of these weeds and broken branches, and probably reach out to some of these folks to keep up with their maintenance on their lands also.
We've been doing that.
I know, I noticed on Northwest Road by the shoe tree, it looks much
great,
better.
Great improvement.
Thank you,
Commend-
Lee, for that, yes.
Commend you, Lee, and the force on that. That's been a major turnaround. I was pleasantly surprised. I've been out of town, so that's a great improvement,
That was a lot of work.
I imagine. I can only imagine.
Okay, that's,
Thank you again.
And Lee takes it on the chin quite a bit.
that's all I'm concerned about. If anyone else has any other concerns or questions.
I have one. I just wanted to see PID number 20, it's 27,779 and 27,780. I know there's not too much that you could say about that right now, but it does state that a future RV park waiting on SU application from property owner.
Special use.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, so no additional information at this time can be given.
Well, we haven't, so that property is located out towards the Westridge area. We have not received the application yet to begin processing. So it's really at this point, it's an inquiry that we received, and we're including those sort of inquiries on this report so that there's no surprises down the line. It's always a surprise when something's on a report, but it's intended to not be a surprise for when that actually comes up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lee and Jared.
Thank you.
Jared, we have the next one as pending development agreement application.
Yeah, I just wanted to put a plug in that for City Council's awareness and for the community. The city has received 2 development agreement applications. One is scheduled for later this month for a public hearing. I encourage City Council members to come into the office to review that. It's quite a lengthy document. And if you have any questions, Lee, myself, or other members of the staff, Adrian, can help address those questions. And we have a second development agreement that's been received. We're looking through it right now to determine its completeness. And then once that determination is made, we'll have that on a subsequent planning and zoning meeting. That other development, so the first development agreement that's scheduled later this month, this is the Lanzola property that has been presented to council in the past. That, as Lee mentioned earlier, is part of a master plan that covers everything from the river all the way to the north side of Highway 80. And it encompasses a pretty substantial land area. The second development agreement that we've received and are reviewing for completeness, that is on 621 on the south side of our ETJ, kind of near the Valero gas station in that intersection. And that's for housing units. We'll be reviewing that and scheduling that for a future updated planning and zoning meeting, probably sometime in October, late October. Other development agreements that we've mentioned that we expect to receive, we have not received yet, but I know Adrian met with another developer. They will probably have a development agreement from them. This is a property along Highway 80 out towards Westridge. We expect to receive that development agreement probably in the next month or so. And then when that comes in, similarly, we'll schedule a public hearing and make that document available for review.
So for clarification, on the 26th, we'll just have we have 3 to review.
On the 26th, there's one development agreement application. That's the Lanzola development agreement.
Yeah.
And then there's two other planning and zoning issues regarding subdivision applications. So
Gotcha. Thank you.
those are on the agenda.
I think you're the only council member that hasn't been able to see the document. So if you have time to come in.
I sent it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jared, I wanted to ask you about these developments. I mean, I don't want you to talk a lot of detail perhaps, but what discussions go on when they start to talk about wastewater treatment plant? I mean, how are we joining together with this? Or, I mean, that's the big stick in the mud that I see so far.
See, that is an issue for planning and zoning.
Yeah, development agreement applications regarding wastewater treatment is going to be an issue for all of these applicants. And based on the geographic location, it's going to probably have a different feel or flavor of how we address each of those. Like for example, the two that we've received and the one that we expect to receive soon, each of those three may take a slightly different approach to the issue of wastewater services, depending based on where they're located, the volume of wastewater needs that they have. So sorry to give you an off comment of it depends, but in a lot of cases it's going to kind of depend. It's hard to get away from the fact though that our current wastewater treatment plant does not have a lot of additional capacity. It could accommodate incremental growth on the order of 100 to 200 unit housing units, but all of these applications are going to exceed that capacity individually, not let alone together. So it's something that we'll address in those development agreement reviews.
Can I add one more
Thank
point? Can I add one more point? Not only we have the capacity, I've been really concerned about the infrastructure, our lift stations. That stuff is duct tape and baling wire, and I think we could discuss that at a future date, but that's another concern I have.
Okay.
But I'll leave it
It's
at
a
that.
good P and Z topic.
Yeah, leave it at that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Okay, so we'll move on to 2.2. It says mayor, but it's really city clerk.
Sure.
We are going to talk about record management, and we've been dealing with this forever.
Hi, everyone. On the screens here, I hope Jared can share the screen on Zoom. Just as an update, right now, there's about 80 boxes worth of records in our storage shed in the back. And we're working to sorting them out and getting the right records destroyed. Our previous mayor had done these slips on these boxes, file boxes. However, there's not really an index right now as it stands of what's really behind the boxes. I don't know if you can see here. We're not really sure what's exactly in there or how to keep up with it. So what we're doing here in the office, and thank you, Jen, for helping us about it.
Try.
Earlier this month, we were sorting through permits, and there's permits that have exceeded the duration, their life expectancy of 5 years. And so right now we're working through getting those records properly destroyed. Right now we're sorting through everything. Unfortunately, I don't have an overview map of the city hall, but we also have plenty of records that need to be sorted. And so right now that's our big office project that we're going through, so we can keep on addressing that issue. Additionally, we'll be expecting to have some interns hopefully come in this semester, if not the beginning of next semester, from hopefully Texas State and
Job Corps.
Gary Job Corps, yes. So if any council member has any downtime, I welcome volunteers to help us sort the records. And that's where we stand right now. And so it's not much of a big report, just we're seeking for volunteers.
Are you transferring some of the information to, I said old word, microfilm, or are you taking pictures of things, or how is it that information going to be sorted and updated or concise?
I can show you briefly our file system.
Come in and learn.
Microfilm. I said that just to sound old.
Well, you are.
For instance, we're working right now together amongst the officers of the city, a kind of like a dictionary of all the records a local government should have. This has about 360 different kinds of documents that cities are meant to keep, such as agendas. Some of them are police reports. Some of them are
Minutes.
permits, yes. Permits of houses, even P&Z stuff are found in here. And so what we'll be doing is we'll be saving them onto these kind of another, well, a quite official storage base for records. So notice here, these are all the records that pertain to minutes. And this is the GR, General Records for Municipal Governments. And notice how they have codes, they have proper naming conventions, so
Yes, we're
forth.
trying to make them searchable.
Yes, so yes, they are scanned. These are a lot of records that have been scanned and
Like terminology.
I'll
Hopefully down the line,
scanned.
we'll be able to address public information requests much more efficiently and provide better services for the government body, and including finding lost or misplaced documents that need quick answers. So that's what we're working on in the city, at least in my office. And
Coffee machine.
your patience is always appreciated, and also if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
Like one
Then
document
you
you
can
would
rename
keep
it
would be
sort
like
of.
subplatting. When we go through all of that, those have to be kept pretty much forever. Or when somebody's building their house, you keep those records, all of the house plans and everything. So it's not that we have to have all of that scanned, but we do have to keep those paper records, and then we just put in the computer what we're saving and where to find it.
Exactly. That's right.
Have you found any of the FEMA buyout paperwork from the 1998 FEMA buyouts
Yes.
of the
Yes.
property? Because I know
Yes.
we were trying to find
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
we found
We've
it.
got a whole
We
bunch.
found it.
That's stacked
And
behind you, that box.
They did all the research and it was,
Ah, okay, good, good.
Yeah.
yeah, you come down and we can talk
It's
about that.
been
This is
fun.
not a
It's a
city
walk
chat.
through
This
history.
is not a topic for the city council.
I'd like to look at some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
It was very interesting.
Okay, so we'll move on to 2.3, the municipal court report. It's in your packets. If there's any questions, I don't know that the judge is here. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Oh, man, that's a big jump. Excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They're busy.
and she's been doing warrants, sending out warrants.
The clerk, right?
The clerk, yeah, Letty, I'm sorry. And then they're gonna have court the last Thursday of the month.
Is that every Thursday?
The judge is in, Dave, just so everybody.
Yeah, the judge isn't here today. But, yeah, the last Thursday of this month, Kent will be in-house and the judge will be in-house, and we will have court to handle cases.
That would be interesting. Here?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
okay,
So Kent, you said has to be here to handle court cases?
yes,
I'll
He's
be
been
there,
doing
yeah.
that?
yeah. He will be here that last Thursday of the month.
Yeah, Sam, I've been there since 2017 when we got court, but I'll be there. I'll be there, and I think we've got at least 50 cases on the docket that day.
Hi.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, excellent.
thank you.
Keep us safe.
And generally, when we've got, I mean, it's at least 90% of the cases that end up getting resolved, and very, very few do not get resolved.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks,
So
bud.
that's the 29th, September 29th. Okay.
That's right.
Okay. We'll move on to the chief of police report. And it's also in your packet on page 10 and 11. And the chief is here if you have any questions.
Hell to the chief.
One of the questions this afternoon from the River Advisory Group was they'd like to see a breakout specifically of that relates to the can ban. I don't know, is that possible?
Yeah, it could be, I could write those in there in the violations part, you would see that. We didn't have it in this past,
It was in the June one.
yes.
We were very happy with it and I showed it to them today.
Yeah.
Right, I didn't have any, I will break it out if we have any,
Yeah, I think you did last time.
Container ban, yeah.
Our numbers are a little lower, I'll tell you, we were operating, with about a half a car last month, I'm sorry.
Car.
Yeah. had one
We
that
were
was saved in
having
the shop.
lots of car.
And then the other one had electrical issues. So we had to take it back up every time you go out on a traffic stop, everything was shut off. So we were just operating until we got it all fixed. So now,
Okay.
knock on wood.
Are
Our cars
so
are both
good.
up and running and everything is good.
Sound like my life.
Other than that,
Yeah, I was going to ask you, we had a meeting last time about speed limits in the city and the reducing of them perhaps. And then we might have to do a traffic study to come to those conclusions. But when you give out tickets, speeding tickets, are they mostly at a lower rate of speed or a higher rate of speed? Like along the highway or in town, or how do they go back and forth?
I will say the majority of our citations are written down on Highway 80. Very few are written on the surface streets here in the city. We can run for hours here. We sat down here the other day, ran for about 3 hours on Main Street and got zero. It's just the way it is. You get one person running about 28 miles an hour, 29 miles an hour, and that looks really fast when everybody else is standing around. But that's basically it. I believe I misspoke last time. I thought the prima facie speed was 25. The prima facie speed is 30. So that means if there's no speed limit signs anywhere, it's 30. So if you took down every speed limit sign, no matter what, it's still going to be 30.
And I think just to refresh my memory, and I don't think you were here, Kent was the one that pined in that we could not lower it to 25. Is that correct, Kent?
20.
Well, it's already.
That's correct.
It's already 25 here in downtown.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
There is actually a speed limit sign that says 25?
Yes, ma'am. There's several speed limit signs that say 25 on Northwest River Road coming around the Main Street.
Oh,
But the rest of everything else is 30.
They'll see him now, past the curve.
yeah. Oh, there's.
What was your highest speed recorded this last month?
I don't know. I got one at 91.
91 miles, was that during the daylight?
Evening.
91. Good job.
It was a Volkswagen.
Volkswagen, what kind of a
A
Volkswagen?
little blue one.
I don't think that thing can run that.
No.
I don't have, yeah, it would go.
Sounded like an diesel.
I have a wagon.
Oh, it's.
Oh, I had one more question about the fines, the monetary amounts of the fines associated with speeding tickets.
I don't even know anything about that, sir.
Oh,
It's up
okay.
to the courts.
Oh, it doesn't say on the ticket itself?
We give them a letter and the courts take care of all that. I don't deal with the fines or anything that comes from that. I just try to slow down the folks and make sure everybody's safe. And then what the courts do with them is up to the courts.
I know some police municipalities have sort of a 5 mile an hour grace period or something of those lines. I mean, how astringent, how strong are we about speeding here?
We just enforce the law. You see, we write a lot of warnings as well. We just enforce the law. Speeding
Okay.
is speeding, but.
Speeding is speeding.
Yes, sir.
And that's what people are doing. And I don't like it when everyone says like, oh, it's a speed trap. It's a speed trap. Well, if you're speeding, you're going to get a ticket. It's not like we're enjoying sitting there and giving out tickets. It's people that are actually speeding.
And we write warnings, like I say, it's just.
They got more warnings here than they do citations.
Yes, I would like to commend you on, you
Yes.
know, with the percentages that it's showing, with the amount of warnings that you're doing, because I think with that, it's a strong statement that the focus is on safety and also, you know, allowing people to let them know that, hey, next time, it's not gonna be a warning. So I think the department is being very fair. I mean, and it's very apparent within the numbers, with the ratio between the citations that are written and the warnings. So, I mean, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all, wants everybody to be safe and have a good.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the city treasurer for the financial report.
How's Anita?
It's
Gotta
in,
ask.
It's doing pretty good. I feel kind of mechanical as I walk around, but at
You
least,
have one done or two?
yeah, at least it's working without pain.
Good. Glad to hear that.
So,
Congratulations.
yeah, haven't given one of these in a while, but the bank balances this week, total operating funds over at First Lockhart Bank was $127,000. The emergency fund was at $223,000, and our Public Funds Investment Act account had $413,000. So cash balances are good. I will note on that grant fund line there under TFIA, that 152,000, there should be more of that coming. before-
Oh, okay. So we have gotten part of that then.
I think that's supposed to be half. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, we should be getting that any time. I check the bank,
300,
every day. It
72.
will show up, and then you see the amount due to
It was
comptroller. It's the very
172.
last line. It'll scroll up a little. And it's $310,000,
Okay.
and we paid 3,600 on that today, or this week, I noticed. So after this report.
Okay, wait a minute. The long-term capital improvement fund only has $121 in it?
Yes, there was $95,000 in there, and we used it to pave Lockhart Street.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Oh, speaking of Lockhart Street, have they gotten with you, the county, about doing the chip seal?
No, they haven't spoken to me, no.
No, I haven't.
I don't know,
had
who would they
anything.
talk to? I wonder.
Well, the mayor.
Guess I better send him an email.
Yeah.
He said September, October.
He did say, yeah.
Thank you. Got that down.
Is there any other questions about the financial report?
Yeah, only other thing I was gonna comment on is the revenues are good in the general fund. The expenses are almost all spent. We're
Yeah, where is that?
halfway through September. This is a July report.
Where's our, oh, it is.
This is
yeah.
a July.
I was gonna say,
report.
where's our
But,
percentages?
One thing I wanted to mention, y'all were talking
Some of them
about
are
spending
100%.
more money in the parks. There's only like $600 left.
In the budget?
Yeah, I just.
For
ran the
this
number
year.
Through today.
Oh, in the
This report
parks
is
budget.
July, But I ran it through today, so don't go out and spend $5,000 and expect to hit your number.
We had extra mowing. We thought we were gonna have 1,000. And then it rained, which we are very happy about that it rained, but it meant extra mowing.
So that's probably, what's left is probably just gonna cover if we have to mow again.
Yeah.
Right.
So, keep that in mind. Utility fund, that's gonna be back on a few pages.
Yeah.
Back, one of the pages.
So,
The revenues are on plan there. The expenses are over budget. So you see, we're about $16,000 excess expense over income. So we're probably going to end the year over budget in utility fund, which I guess we usually do. So far, I haven't had to draw any money from, or ask for any money from,
where's
the other
6,000?
reserves that we saw on the first page, but that
My thought on that, Dwayne, is if we end the year with a deficit, we might make ourselves whole with that, that federal stimulus funding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probable and that we will, but like I said, so far we're cash flowing. But it's tight in the utilities fund. And I guess that's it.
Okay.
Don't have any other questions. Oh, one thing I noticed on the, back on the general fund, the street and road budget is over by about $4,000. Let's see what line item that is. See that 45, 84? Is that the right line?
It's 80/80.
80/80.
Right?
Yes.
4,000.
Yeah, it's about 4,000 over budget. I need to transfer some money from the special
Which one
revenue
is
fund,
it?
and that will get
Am I on the
that,
right page?
that back on track.
Page 14.
Okay, street.
Because we do have money in the special revenue fund unallocated of $17,000 still. So that'll bring that particular line item.
Yeah, we'll probably need that for the
Over,
chip.
so the over budget stuff you put in the general fund. I mean,
General
are
fund
in
is
the,
where everything generally,
Yeah,
the checks are written. The special revenue fund, which I guess I didn't really go over that report. It's a small report that has restricted monies in it.
mm-hmm.
And the, that restricted money comes from that sales tax money.
All right.
So,
Uh-huh.
so,
Yeah, but this 4,000 won't be a restricted fund, would it?
it will come from the restricted fund.
Yeah, but it's not restricted monies, is it?
Well,
It goes
it's
to
the money
street
that
repair.
comes out of the sales tax, that quarter.
Oh,
percent.
okay. It's just still earmarked for,
And it's earmarked
for
for
the street
street.
repair. Okay, gotcha.
We've got so much of it
It's
that's just in the
silly.
normal city budget, and then so much of the money that comes from that sales tax fund.
Mhm.
So, I'll need to make that transfer.
Okay, that's,
Notice when I was looking through this closer.
all right, that's good enough.
And I guess that is it.
I wanted to ask you on page 20 of 34, 8050 for the hardship write-off. We still have $1,000 for hardship write-offs, correct?
That was the budget. I don't know why we would still have if we've written some of it off.
But it says that
I just want to make one distinction. The write-off uncollectible is not intended for hardships. It's mostly intended for people who don't pay their bill and then skip town and then we're unable to collect. We have
And there's
used it
no
on a
way
special
to
circumstance, but in the past to use it for extraordinary hardships, but it's not intended for a hardship.
He's talking about the line above that,
Uh-huh.
80/50.
Oh, okay.
Because I've heard it different ways. So I think if it's stated as a hardship write-off, to me, that sounds like if we have a citizen that's experiencing, a significant, life, altering situation, that they would be able to come in and say, hey, this is what's going on. So I've heard that we do have it, we don't have it. So do we have a hardship write-off or do we not?
There's a process, and I see every month or two a request come through, and I guess Adrian and Jared work through those, but there's a process that they have to apply for.
Because like what this is telling me is that there was $1,000 in the budget and that none of it was used.
That is right.
So is that what you're talking about, Jared?
I was referencing line 8052. I'm sorry. I was-
Uh-huh.
80.
So that hardship write-off is for somebody experiencing something that may need help. There's a process here, and then it goes through Adrian and through you.
Most of the
That's
time,
on line 80/50.
most of the time we'll use a payment plan and we work with them to establish a payment plan. And I don't believe we have maybe one, but maybe, I don't even know if we have any on the payment plan currently.
One.
Yeah, one. So, typically that provides enough relief for what their needs are.
I think in the budget, if it's stated as that, I just want to be like clear, like if it's going to be, there's a payment plan or there's whatever, but I think having a hardship write-off line item, which is not utilized, it's a little bit misleading, if somebody actually needs help. So either we have a hardship process or we don't.
The process as it exists now is if we're unable to accommodate a customer's needs, we'll present that to city council for determination. Under our current ordinances, I'm not allowed to just waive the fees, but city council action can. So that's basically the process we use now. We can define that in the future. I believe that's listed on our future agenda items, is to make that more of an elegant process, but right now that's what we're following.
Thank you.
Oh, I had a question for you, like, when the property taxes start to come in for next year, it's generally about towards the end of the year. So is there like a lean few months, or are we spending money that we think we'll have, or how do we proceed in through the beginning of this next fiscal year in terms of monies and property tax?
Bank statement balance, the first
Don't
report,
have anything to approve.
our general fund overflow has $182,000 in it, that third line there.
Uh-huh.
So that's where the money would come from, and, until the cash starts flowing.
And then you sort of reimburse that, or is that?
Actually, what happens is in December, so much money comes in that it puts our accounts over our insured limits at the bank, and I move it down into that account number.
Is it 250,000 at the bank or whatever? Or- Okay.
That's why I put that little subtotal up there for First Lockhart Bank, to try to keep an eye on that, so that number doesn't go over 250.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we typically would want to keep minimum 90 days, but a better rule of thumb is to use 120 days cash on hand. In case revenue flow stops, you can continue operations for 120 days. We have that now. And that's basically, that's what the rule that we follow. That does cover some of the, by October, November, you start to get a little lean, and we might transfer funds, maybe a little bit from the overflow to the general fund until those checks come. But typically we're okay. It's not very large amounts.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Thanks,
Thanks, Dwayne.
Okay, so we'll move on to new business. 3.1, purchase 8 tablet computers for the city of Martindale for the purpose of city council and board and commission meetings. We spend a tremendous amount on photocopying, and it's really, it would save us money in the long run.
Yeah, I have a quick presentation on that.
When you say pad, do you mean a laptop?
iPad.
iPad.
Partially it's, app friendly. It's at least
The last.
Androids can be kind of they're more flexible. However,
The more dependable,
yeah.
the Apples. are.
Yes, Apple's more user-friendly. We can use it at the office. They're intended for city council. So I'll just start on my presentation real quick. On the first slide, my recommendation is that we use less paper and depend on PDFs. Paper is fairly okay, but
This is pretty
ink
bulky.
is very expensive. If you see the prices here, the black cartridge is $100. The color cartridges for city council is about $115, $112 per cartridge. Each cartridge takes about 2,200 copies. Now, if you were to buy a set of ink, that's one tablet, you know? And I'm sure that over the last 10 years, we've maybe gone through 30 cartridges just for city council meeting, which is 4 sets of maybe, you could have bought 16 tablets with that by now. And so this is a means to save money down the line. I did put together some numbers so you guys can look at that does kind of elaborate on that cost.
That's also time.
It does save time.
It saves a lot of time.
Freeze.
Trees. And then records.
Right. And so there's about 3,000, I think the average of the last 13 council meetings, we printed about 3,368 pages in these binders alone. And then for the public, it's about 7,500 pages. So put that together, it's quite a few pages. And that has costed us, on average, we'll spend about $2,000 on paper and ink just for city council meetings.
Just for what?
City council meetings.
From May to September?
No, this is actually an average of the months of May to September. Before, you usually just get the agenda and not the contents of the meeting, so being maps, ordinances, and so forth. This is so to accommodate the long agenda packets that you'll get during council meetings, but also reducing the costs. Down the line, even planning and zoning, you get a development packet of 200 and something pages. That's within 8 people on this board. How much is that?
We'll just say.
So the pads, would we keep the pads or just they would stay here?
In office, just so reduces the risk of them being broken, lost.
So we would still get our emails through our regular government email, all the information prior to a meeting.
The only thing
And
on
we would
the,
then we'd have the pads there instead of the paper, correct?
Right, instead of having.
instead of these big notebooks.
Where you have to sort through, you can actually search pages and texts. Yeah, that's
10 inches, you said they're 10 inches, what?
10-inch tablets.
And what about emails? If people need to check their emails and stuff, and are there specific logins?
So what I had in mind for at least just the agenda packets is that I will send one email to this generic council member email, and they would just view the packets through there. And so just like how these binders are separated by meetings and months, you will have it in your email in this generic council email.
Okay.
So we could
then
arrange.
we download them onto the tablet.
Right, and now I will have them ready for council just to come in, unlock it, and
Everything's on.
yes,
So you don't really, you can still just email it to us for us to review before the meeting.
yes,
But when we get here, we don't have to deal with this.
exactly.
Part of the reason for doing that is if we do hand these out, we'd have to put basically pay to have them regularly updated with antivirus and all the other IT
Right.
management stuff. If we kind of keep these in the closed ecosystem, we wouldn't have to add these to the equipment list that we contract for services. Is kind of half the thought also. So
Right.
paying for the
So there's no
cost of
checking email.
tablet, not the cost of
Just on the pads.
So on the next slide,
Oh, I had a question. The
Yes.
closed, he said closed ecosystem?
yeah, it's like our city server database. Right now, this computer is connected to the city's.
Sounds
It's
ecological.
It's like saving it on a floppy disk. or a
Oh,
thumb
okay.
drive.
See, floppy disk.
Yes.
Well done, Dan.
Yeah.
Good job, Dan. Yeah.
The next slide is a visual of
You're getting your laughs tonight.
Oh,
We're
man.
laughing with you.
Yes.
Closed ecosystem.
That's an app you need to download.
Yeah. I've never heard that term.
So you would still print a few copies to have on the table then?
Yes. But as at least city council is pretty consistent to have 8 members during our meetings. So that cuts about half of our printing. And so here's a cost analysis of what it, for city council, this is, we will see a return on these tablets after 4 years. So the first 3 years, there'll be a deficit of how much it costs. And then after the 5th year, you see larger increases in the returned benefit of having the tablets for city council.
What is the lifespan of those pads?
About 5 to 10 years. So that's why I did it up to a 10-year.
So we're at the.
They won't have
How much
part
are
of the thing.
there? $1,200?
With the whole iPads and stuff of that nature costs about $2,400. And to have it at the end of the slide.
Oh. Tuesday.
The thing is, it depends on the usage.
There's like the operating systems update and update and update, and then they get slower and slower.
So how much is the cost of a pad?
Per pad is $300.
Okay. How much?
How much?
300.
300.
That's it for an iPad? Wow.
And we're using
For what we need to use it.
Right, okay.
Apple has a government purchasing
Oh.
policy, and so we'll be using that.
Oh, cool.
Excellent.
So that's why it's
So
less than.
we are gonna make it pretty restricted.
And you're right, sometimes those iPads like, oh, okay, well, part of the reason your phones and personal devices seem to die out is part of storage, how much you use it, the time screen that's left on. If we'll be using these iPads for, say, 6 hours a month,
They'll last a while.
they'll last quite a while.
I mean, for the function that we need them for, it's just gonna be reading,
Yes.
flipping. It's not, you're not gonna need crazy iOS updates.
I still would like a browser and and Wi-Fi. We still.
Yeah, you'll have that.
Okay, so we can look up ordinances and stuff on our website. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
City
On a
city
home screen.
council, okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say
Jerry.
that city council in the past tried to use a iPad-like device,
Tablet.
tablets, but the screen resolution on them and the size of them weren't well suited for going through some of the documents that we had. We looked at, maybe refreshing those, but that wasn't an option. And I think I point out on this slide, the color paper cost, that might be even a little low. So I think we're probably going to see a return on investment probably within the first year, maybe, if we keep the same level of engagement we have in the last few months.
We spent about $800 just this month
So,
on replenishing ink and paper and.
Can we vote now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm done. Let's just,
Okay, that's all right. We're
all
condensed.
already. We could talk about this and for the
Yeah, I
next
know.
hour and I'm ready to vote. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, please
So what
do.
color?
Again, if you want.
Oh, shut up.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to purchase 8 tablet computers for the city of Martindale for the purpose of city council and boards and commissions meetings.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
So the total cost is where? What is that showing us real quick?
At the very end, there's one more slide, Jared.
39.
39.
So without being taxed, it's $2,392. With tax, which I think we could get voided because of, this was just me pretending I was going to purchase it at this point. Could be $2,589.
So we're looking at under $300 $3,000 for 8. You're only getting 8? Okay.
Yeah, for
and
council.
I would intend to use the federal funding for this purchase, since our IT budget right now is
Federal funding?
ARPA.
The ARPA funds.
Quick question. Do most cities use this type of technology?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, your city council will have a whole computer screen set up. And you might even vote electronically. You'll just instead of saying aye or nay, you just hit a button.
Yeah. Ooh, it kind of makes.
So you
secret.
mentioned 5 for the city council, or 8, you have 8 total. You mentioned boards and commissions?
Yeah, so since, for instance,
Have
the
meetings.
River Advisory Board sat here this,
This afternoon.
And
they could have used it. They often ask questions and look at the,
P and Z meetings.
yeah, P and Z meetings. I mean,
Yeah.
computers are a very useful tool, and so might as well expand that to also our board and commissions, but only when they're in-house. No taking it away. They have to be kept in the office.
But clarify, we still will have our email. That's our personal. Okay.
And part of the issue, you might have noticed, like in the recent zoning changes, we're all kind of squinting towards the screens and you couldn't read the map on your paper.
Yeah.
Especially with all the recent development going on, it's gonna help with viewing those.
Clarification.
So it's 10 by 10 or?
10.2 inch iPad.
Diagonal 10?
Yeah.
This is 14.
Got it.
Sam, it'll save trees.
Yeah.
So Mike, how do you vote?
Yay.
It's, I don't think it's.
Sam, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Nick, how do you vote?
Yay.
All right, so the motion carries. Okay, and then the last thing to discuss is Adrian has written an ordinance that would make it so that we don't have to vote on this every year. This is the yearly schedule of holidays that the employees receive. And so
What page is that on?
this is the very last one.
35, 36.
Yeah, 35 and 36.
So, just like how the mayor said, we usually vote on this right at the end of the fiscal year. It's been kind of what we do around the city. Jared and I spoke about this, and we believe that the federal standard was appropriate for at least City Hall. However, there was a few adjustments to accommodate for Thanksgiving and Christmas. As in the past, we have gotten 2 days for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So the 24th, 25th, and the 25th, 26th. The federal holiday schedule just only has 1 day for Thanksgiving and 1 day for Christmas. And so we've moved Columbus Day and Juneteenth from the federal schedule and applied them to Thanksgiving and Christmas. There is a few language changes that we need to make. One, it doesn't address Sundays. And so the way it typically works in the federal government is if a holiday falls on a Saturday, the city hall or the government body would be closed Friday. And also the federal government states on Sundays, if a holiday falls on a Sunday, then city hall would be closed on a Monday.
So it just goes opposite.
Right.
And if the staff decides to change what days come off, you would give us a report.
Change it what?
I mean, these are all the holidays you're gonna take.
It's
We're
never gonna
11 or
change that.
12.
Unless amended in a future ordinance. But
Can you explain to me
Oh.
again why Juneteenth and then the indigenous Peoples' Day was taken off?
Because just for the consistency of the city in the past, we have had 2 days for Thanksgiving, the Thursday and Friday, and then carry on the weekend. And then Christmas is only Christmas Day, I believe. Christmas Eve, it says that City Hall would be open. And so it's not too many holidays. We reduced it down to that.
You actually took Good Friday off of it, which had been one of them in the past.
This actually, I'm not
It
sure.
wasn't-
Federal government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I mean, here.
Oh, I
it
see.
was observed.
I see.
We do have a discrepancy though, because in paragraph B, we mentioned that any holiday declared by federal statute would apply. So either federal statute includes Juneteenth, and per federal statutes, it's called Columbus Day, even though it's been colloquially referred to as Indigenous Peoples Day for some time. That's something we want to clarify in the language of the ordinance, whether we wanted to follow the federal statute completely or just follow those holidays listed.
I mean, y'all know where I'm gonna go with this. Because, I mean, if you're gonna do it for these holidays, you might as well as take Indigenous Peoples' Day off too, and Juneteenth. If those are recognized holidays, then they should be included.
Is that 2 different days?
Yes.
Yeah.
One's in February and one's in June.
Uh-huh,
Oh,
yes.
well, I've never heard of them.
What?
Columbus Day is what
Columbus
the
Day.
federal government calls it.
Well, in June,
You've heard of
as,
them.
You heard of them.
but not as a holiday.
Yes, they're
And
recognized.
Indigenous, that must be something brand
Declared.
new.
Those are,
For like 2 years,
Yeah,
right?
it is brand new. I think it was passed a year, 2 years ago.
Juneteenth was, or?
Yes.
Yeah, for the whole nation.
yes, everybody is off.
That's a Texas day, but they recognize it across America.
Yes.
Well, do remember that we are a small city. These do only, I believe, only apply to full-time employees. No, I could be wrong.
At the end of it, it states that if you weren't scheduled that day, you won't see the benefit.
Well, I'd like to make an amendment to where if you want the option to have the day off on those days, that you have the option to be off, you would get paid if you would volunteer, do a work of service on those days. But if it's gonna be a federally, if you're observing the holidays that are, recognized, then I would say do not exclude those days.
So staff could choose to take those 2 days off and then still work the Thursday of Thanksgiving and the 24th of December.
I don't think that's what she said. She said, take the day off, but do something around town as a volunteer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I don't think we should.
Well,
say
if
you
you'd
have to
like.
volunteer.
If you want to, I mean, if you want to, usually a day of service is what they call it. I mean, if you're familiar with those days, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to, but I just think that also having validity in recognizing those days is very important rather than excluding them.
Okay.
haven't worked the city on
Jared?
parsing paper. Going through records.
I think it's up for council. I think that's a great idea. Those Martin Luther King Day is another day. That's kind of a day of service. Oftentimes, around Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's opportunities to volunteer. I think employing volunteerism is a quality that would serve the community well. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Like the mayor said, she doesn't think that, having that day off would be, up for if people want to volunteer, but if we just want to give them the day off and just with pay.
There's one thing in here that has always bothered me, and that's if you work that day, like Jared or Carmen does, then you get paid for it. If you don't work that day, then you don't get paid for it, unless you're a full-time
For that
person.
holiday.
So a full-time person gets paid for the holiday. And how many hours if you're a part-time employee, do you get 8 hours or do you get 4 hours or what do you get? Because
Pretty much
this needs to probably be worked out a little bit more. When I was part-time, you got only part of the day. You didn't get like 8 hours if you only worked for 20 hours in a week. So I think there needs to be a little bit to work. We've been working on employee manual. And this is going to have to coincide with the employee manual. And so we've got a lot of work still to do on the employee manual that maybe we should hold off on this.
So would y'all be
If
willing
there's
to?
recommended changes, we can table this and individual council members can email those changes to Adrian and I, and we can incorporate those and bring this back for another review.
And then my recommended changes were verbalized and on the record.
Noted.
Yeah.
Noted. So just to clarify, were you saying you would like Columbus Indigenous Peoples' Day and
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth to be recognized as a holiday within this lineup? And if they wanted to volunteer on those days,
Like if they want
They wanted
to
the day
work,
off.
yeah,
you can work that day.
and get paid for it.
Yes, but if you wanted to also be off and use that day as something that you would like to do,
Yeah.
that's your option.
Would that take away?
No,
So it would just be another
Added.
added on there,
Yes.
okay.
But you're doing that, but you're,
Is there a reason why we had this allotted amount? I mean, are we following a guideline here as
yes,
like, hey,
that's how
these
many
are the
holidays.
days off we're gonna be
That's
getting?
how many.
Except for the extra days on Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
It's the federal government recognizes these days. It actually cites,
We can-
Full-time, you have to take those
And we can have,
vacations.
I mean, full literacy at this, right? We can do whatever we want on it. But I don't see why we wouldn't do that. I don't know why we wouldn't recognize
There's all the
those
national
holidays.
holidays.
Yeah.
Say, okay,
Doesn't make sense to
you
me.
choose which one you want.
And I like the idea of the volunteer, because there's a lot of opportunities to volunteer in Thanksgiving and Christmas, so. And Indigenous Peoples' Day.
So, and if, this doesn't pertain just to full-time people.
no, this is,
If you're
But it has,
part-time and then you happen to be working on that day, then you get that
then
day
you
off.
get that day.
final section.
But how many hours do you get? If you're only a part-time person, do you get a full 8 hours? This does not address
It
that.
just depends on what you're scheduled that day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're
Like
tenant.
Carmen's scheduled to work 8 hours on Monday, but that may be the only day she works.
That's right.
So she
And
gets
so
paid hours.
Yeah, because.
she would get off almost every holiday.
Then her budget's all.
Okay.
So I
Uh,
agree with Sonia. I'd like to go on the record with saying I'd like to follow that lead.
To add these other
Yeah, add
holidays.
the
Yeah,
other
that sounds
holidays.
good too. All right, I'd like to make a motion to table the FY 2023 holiday schedule for city operations.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I just had one question. So if you do work a holiday, do you get paid more? Do you get time and a half or double time? I mean,
No.
that's the case. I thought if you worked a holiday, you would get paid more. Oh.
I can't wait
No.
for that with.
The only people who do that are the police force and federal employees.
But they don't get time and a half
No,
for
it's
it.
not that,
They get 8 hours of holiday pay.
unless it's overtime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So it just needs to be defined in
Everybody's
the
working.
employee policy manual.
Because this is something that'll just continue on, right?
Mhm.
Once we get it
Yeah, and then
done,
we
then
don't
we
have
won't
to-
have to vote on it every year.
Yeah,
Making things more efficient, that's all I like to see.
me too.
Okay, we have a vote, motion and a second to table this item until clarification. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so it carries. And, and is there anything to add or take away from future agenda? I noticed we forgot to take away 4.1 public hearing. We've already done that.
I've got a question.
Yes,
Didn't we talk about having a workshop on this, our
We
river
did.
protection ordinance? We're gonna have a workshop on that?
we just,
Was that gonna be like a Monday, a 19th, I thought?
yeah, Jared was not feeling good that Monday. Plus, we had already canceled it.
I'm saying Monday, this coming Monday. That's what I meant. This.
Oh, this coming Monday.
We were gonna do a workshop this coming Monday on that.
I think we might. Jared, were you up for a workshop on Monday?
I can probably do it, as long as my health holds. It's been yeah, as long as the health holds, I can support one. I'd have a hard stop at 4:30, so we probably want to start any later than 1, and any earlier than that, it kind of starts to really compress the rest of the business that needs to be tended to. So,
Like 1 to 4 again?
yeah.
That's so hard for me to do.
I know, and just like for me too,
Yeah, I
with
got
being
I got an appointment
employed,
Where were we looking
I
at?
can't do those times.
Yeah, 1 o'clock's really hard for me to do. Like in any.
What about, like 5?
And he's got a hard stop.
Well,
there.
he can't, he's
We're good
going
on
to
Juneteenth.
school.
Oh,
Get paid for it.
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
There's no staff.
Well,
I mean, y'all could still have it, I
Yeah.
won't be able to make
I
it.
can maybe move some stuff around. My next Monday's already booked up, so. I would like to be, I would like to be there if we could push it to another.
So which,
How
What-
about
what-
this?
Whatever.
How about this, Mike? What if it was a workshop led by the River Committee that we published a notice of a potential quorum for council members who want to attend that meeting, and we hold it in that form?
Yeah,
they work.
When are those meetings? I'm not.
we had it today.
Today?
So we have it the third, it's at 1 o'clock, the third Thursday.
Third Thursday every month?
At what time?
1. And so now the meetings are on Thursday, it's perfect, we had a meeting. It's always fresh in our minds, it actually was that great. But
I never look on
So
the
when would you like to have a
website.
workshop?
workshop Monday.
What's good happening? We need to do.
We brought it up, we want a workshop, we want to go, if you guys are ready to have it, you know what I mean?
I
We-
would
we need-
also like to.
We need to wrap it up.
Included in that, I'd like to revisit some of that last ordinance that, on impervious cover. At least some more discussions. I think some of.
We've already
I
passed
know
it.
we passed it pretty quickly.
Already
And there are
decided.
some other things
But
that,
the
that
workshop-
have come up that I think the council needs to know. I mean, even if it
So
is just a quick
20th
discussion,
is the next meeting.
that's on the 20th.
is the next meeting.
the river.
Yeah.
So we want to do this on Monday?
Okay,
Oh, you want
so
to do it this
we're gonna
Monday?
do
I'm asking-
it this Monday?
Monday wasn't good for them.
No, they're talking about doing the
it's,
river.
yeah, if it's done, yeah, I'll get filled in.
Okay.
We'll have to send an email out to the
Mhm.
committee to verify that,
You want to just,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so you'll get back to us and then
I'm
we
gonna
can,
do it tonight, yeah. we'll do it.
Okay.
Publish it by. Yeah,
I-
It's almost, well, we can't do it by Monday. No, you
Okay.
can't, you gotta publish it by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 days.
Well, I think we need to wrap this up as soon as we can. Okay.
And then I had a question about 4.3 park ordinance. I mean, if we start to talk about the parks as we go into the next fiscal year, I guess that would be involved in ordinances about finances and money and all that stuff. So I guess I'm not asking for an additional component of the ordinance, but I would like to have that as a agenda item as it stands here going into the future and discuss the parks.
yeah, okay. And then if you notice 4.7 says Martindale Parks revenue.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
And this commission and boards ordinance, that's just to review it or revisit it?
review it.
Review and revise
Yes.
if needed.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn at 7:57.
Second.
Nick seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And so we are adjourned.
All right, thank you.